But this Thursday is a holiday, right? What you're supposed to do is to have an activity that would apply, okay, disputed meanings. So since we won't be able to meet asynchronously to have an asynchronous session this Thursday, okay, the next activity will just be optional. Okay, so it's up to you. Because for your 83, okay, it's supposed to be a content analysis, document analysis. So you have already done one, right? So you've already done an activity on um, analyzing deceptions. Okay, analyzing deceptions. So if you think that your score is okay for this one because this was required, you don't need to answer. You don't need to work on a disputed meanings activity already. Okay? But if you think that you need to catch up in your performance, okay, because you feel that you did not do well in your task on analyzing deceptions, then you could have this additional activity. So this is an optional activity. So just let me know. Anyway, I'll be providing you your scores for analyzing deception either today or tomorrow. Okay, so this is an optional thing. That's for your 83. Okay, now for next week, okay, that's week 17. Okay, our topic then would be on courtroom discourse. Okay, courtroom discourse. All right. So for courtroom discourse, we are not going to meet in the morning. Instead, let's meet at night during the webinar because Judge Gray, okay, Peter Gray will actually speak about courtroom discourse, about their context and the Aborigines, okay, because he was a former judge and will need to have that first-hand account, okay, when he handled these cases. So this would be part of your 84, in which you would need to have a reaction paper, okay? That's part of your 84 reaction paper. So that's for your 84. That's for next week. And then during our last week, week 18, okay, week 18, so that would be on the week of 14 to 29, May 14 to 29. We'll have a short session here for your capstone project. Okay, capstone project. So what will be your capstone project be like? I'm not sure what's happening. Week 18. A capstone project. So it will be Asha. What's happening to my pen? Okay, a 250 to 300 word abstract. Okay, abstract about any FL, okay, undertaking that you wish to pursue in the future. Okay, so I'll guide you along the way. Since it's just a 300 word abstract, so I'll guide you what you will need to include in the first two sentences, next sentences, up to the end, okay? Up to the end. I'll provide you the specific details of what should be found from the first, okay, first word up to the last word, okay? For you to come up with a 300 word abstract. So this abstract, if you want to pursue this as a linguistic project, as a project, okay, of your own, because you become interested in FL, then you can actually do that. But it's just what you just need to think of right now, okay, at this point, or even when we already work on your project, would be to think of a topic, Okay, topic that you would want to pursue, any of the topics that we have covered since day one. Okay, so say you would want to look into the, say, questioning strategies, for example, or check the comprehensibility of a document. That's fine. Now, if your thesis is on FL, just like Cass is from another section, so you don't need to have this one because you're already creating your proposal. You don't need to submit to me any work because I'll already consider that as your capstone. Okay, so that is if you're working on a project. So this is an individual activity. Okay, because it's just 300 words that I'm requiring from you. Okay, so any questions or clarifications? So we'll still meet on May 25. I'll provide you a session. Okay, I'll provide you a lecture, or how's that? I'll guide you along the way what you would need to do in what you need to write in the specific parts of the abstract. And then during that week, I'll also guide you. Okay, so is this okay? Is this acceptable? So let's have it through the Google Docs. Okay, until you perfect it.
Ma'am,
Yes, Faith.
would the capstone be by pair pa rin po ba or
Individual,
individual?
yeah, individual faith, because it's just a 300 abstract that I'm asking from you, because it's hard to really work on this one with someone. Okay, considering that you may have, different interests. Okay, and you also think that it would also be more effort on my part to be checking 60 plus abstracts, but I want you to learn. Okay, I would want to know your interest, specific interest on FL. So I'm, having that extra effort to check individual works, and I'm not asking you to submit to me right away, okay, a 300 word abstract. So I'm giving my commitment to guide you, okay, that okay, is this acceptable? Blah blah blah. So we'll have exchanges here. So I'll edit your work, I'll comment until you come up with a perfect, okay, acceptable abstract for submission for a conference. So if there are future conferences later on with regard to FL or linguistics, then you can submit this work, provided that you continue pursuing the project, because it's just it's just a plan. So what you would need to place there would just be your expected results, and what expected your results, and what contributions you think your work would have, okay, in the body of knowledge. Thanks for that clarification. Any other questions?
Ma'am,
Yes, Agatha?
can I speak with you after the class po? There are just some concerns from the class po.
Okay, so what's that? Can we just settle them here, like negotiate? Yeah?
Um,
Open to that?
not, ma'am, not related to our course po, but other courses.
Other courses. Okay, it's
Yes
okay.
po.
Sabihin mo na sa akin ngayon.
Kasi po, so
Mm,
just now we had
mm,
meeting with Ma'am Celino for
mm,
language of non-literary texts,
mm.
and it's just that she's still requiring us to make the an infomercial, and
Ah,
that's on top of our
the
capstone
capstone.
project pa po. Opo.
Okay.
And the problem po kasi is we've settled the calendar of activities and submissions long time ago, but it's
Mm,
never followed po. So that's the thing.
mm,
Parang it should have the infomercial should have been submitted already by this week, but then it's
mm,
moved. So
mm,
at this point,
mm,
medyo mabigat na po talaga kasi po our other courses have already plotted their
mm,
dates, and that's
mm,
final na po. So
mm.
ayun po, so for infomercial po kasi syempre it's still by group, and then we have to
Yeah.
record it, and then she still wants us to present it and then
Ah,
evaluate it, peer
present.
evaluation.
Oo, oo.
And then
plus
yung
the
capstone
capstone.
po
Yeah,
is
because I was asking the other section earlier. Because before, I told you last time that before the start of the term, we actually agreed that we discussed about the possibility of merging capstone projects like
yes po.
stylistics plus language of literary text. So you can you
Opo.
submit one work there. Also here for language of non-literary text. So if you want to just work on an FL thing, then just submit this one. So you will just need to have one. But my take is that just a 300 abstract will do
Yes,
unless
ma'am.
I'm not sure about ma'am.
For Ma'am Celino po kasi, ma'am, she asked us to make a concept paper. So, hindi
It's
po
a
siya
longer
limited
one.
to
It's
the
just the
domain of law and government. So,
yeah.
hindi po like a lot of us did not have um topics that we can adapt for the capstone here po
Mm-mm,
sa
mm-mm,
subject nyo. Tas
mm-mm.
ayun po, gusto niya din po kasi ipe-present pa yung concept paper. Basically po kasi yung concept paper na nire-require niya is another proposal, research proposal po. So,
Yeah, and it would take time. Like
ayun po.
I see. I know how hard it is to come up with just even a concept paper because you have those parts there. So you did that for
Yes
your
po.
research methodology, right?
Opo.
That's also the
Yes, ma'am.
structure that we follow when we
Yes
submit
po.
proposals for our research
Opo.
with the RC said.
Ayun
Yeah.
po. I
So
mean,
why?
a lot
Then,
of us adapted
hmm,
naman po our old capstone topics. But ayun nga po, if parang ayaw po kasi i-let go ni ma'am yung infomercial. But our concern is that marami na po kaming naging activities and deliverables for her subject.
mm-hmm,
And we just recently also had a class output. So
mm-mm,
parang
mm-mm,
ayun po, parang madami naman na pong pagkukunan ng grades tapos ang bigat po nung infomercial if it will still push through.
mm-mm,
Kasi yung capstone paper po, nasimulan naman na po namin yung concept paper kasi nung prelims po,
mm-mm,
yung introduction part po yung pina-submit niya. So
mm-mm.
ayun po.
Okay.
Tapos, on top of that, ma'am, sa business communications po,
Hmm.
yesterday po kasi hindi na, dineclare na lang po ni Sir Sarmago as asynchronous session
Mm,
for this entire week. Although, ayun, so for this entire week po, asynchronous sessions lang kami. Tapos, he posted a list of
that we
tasks
need to
po.
submit. Oo.
Opo. Tapos, there are 5 group tasks, 5 individual tasks.
Mm,
Tapos, meron pa pong video presentation something
mm,
din po
mm,
na by group. Tapos, I emailed him
mm.
about the deadline and he said
Yeah.
next week.
Oo. Next week. I
Opo.
see.
So, parang
Mm.
wala, ang dami lang
You
pong
okay, I
yun
understand
po.
where you're coming from. So, from your end, Agatha, kasi I, as the class president, ha, so is it okay if you first make the move like on your own, like to negotiate if you can lessen? Kasi I also want that parang hindi kayo nagsusumbong sa akin at sasabihin ko that I like confront them, 'di ba? So on your own, can you do that first? And then if
Okay po.
nothing happens, then that's the time that I will intervene also. Kasi baka mamaya isipin nila na lagi ko kayong pinagtatanggol or eto, I'm always siding on you, ganyan. So, can you do that first and let's see
Ma'am,
Okay
the
po.
reply, ha? Yeah?
ma'am, actually, we had that kind of discussion a while ago.
Mm.
One of our blockmates actually suggested if we could not continue with the infomercial,
Mm.
and she mentioned nga daw po na there is a specific percentage na need isama sa grade, so
Mm.
hindi daw po matatanggal. Ganun daw po.
So you already have that. So, you want me to intervene. Okay lang. You wish me to intervene. So, okay lang with you if I do that and ask
Yes,
her?
ma'am, kasi po parang
Online.
hindi na po talaga realistic kasi
Oo,
po
I
as
know.
in every week po ngayon meron na po kaming major paper na due tapos
Paper.
on top pa
Oo.
po nung thesis proposal
Yeah.
presentations and
I
revisions.
know. And some yung mga ginagawa nyo, hindi pa nga okay ang yung mga proposals.
Opo, ayun po.
Oo.
Kaya ang hirap yun din po ma'am, sobrang hirap po mag-focus na mapaganda yung proposal kasi nga
Paper.
po
Oh,
ang
I
dami pa pong
know.
ibang paper.
Yeah, I also experienced that. Kasi when working on a paper, when writing something, your mind must be clear, di ba? From any other worries. Kasi how can you think? Oh, so if all those other concerns. But, sorry this course is adding. But anyway, um, you still have 83, 84, tas yung capstone nga. But anyway, I think ito namang capstone nyo, the 300 words, so we'll do it in class and I'll guide you along the way. I don't think this would be really that heavy naman. Kasi yung 84, I won't require you to have a long one. So at least we follow, di ba, what's presented there in the outline. So yung analyzing deception, so it's optional. The other task is optional naman. So yun, from this course. So yung problem natin, yung kay Ma'am Silino and yung kay Sir Sarmago. Okay, Sir Sarmago. I'll also check with the other class
Ma'am,
kay Red later on. Yeah? Yes.
I think I can talk to Sir Sarmaga po muna
Mm-mm.
about
Sige,
the
sige, sige.
deadline. Opo.
Okay, about the deadline. About the
Opo.
workload. Kung marami,
Um,
okay naman.
I think it depends po per group kasi po
Mm.
at saka yung sa individual tasks po kasi parang yung iba po na-submit na namin before. Pero ayun nga po, medyo madami pa rin nga po talaga. So I'll try to talk to Sir Sarmago din po about it.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sige. So, I'll ask Red later on. Kasi I was asking the class, ano ba yung sasubmit nyo dito sa capstone nyo with Ma'am Celino? Is it, would it require you to submit a full-blown proposal in which you'll have your intro and methods? Ganyan. So, yeah, they couldn't answer me yet earlier. So, I'll
Ayun po,
talk with
ma'am.
Red.
It's
So, yun na
a
pala yun, a concept
Apo,
paper.
full-blown, may rational and
Full-blown.
everything po.
Yeah.
Tapos ayun nga po, gusto niya pa po na ma-present in
Present.
class, tapos
Yeah,
peer
but we
evaluation.
don't have
So,
time na, di ba?
ayun nga
Ngayon?
po.
Oo.
Yun nga po yung problem, ma'am.
Oo. So, anong gagawin? So, mag-extend kayo? Kasi, di ba, first week of June, that's already the final
Finals
exam
week.
na. So, 3
Apo.
things na lang siya.
Even our thesis proposal nga po, ang deadline po namin ng final version June 1st. So, parang,
Oo.
ayun po.
June 1st. I see. Okay. Oo. So, hopefully, we can extend that as well. Kasi madami pang issues dun sa proposals. So, the ones I'm checking, meron mga iba, hindi pa final yung kanilang RQs and even the framework. So, yeah,
Yes,
much
ma'am.
work really need to be done. So, may mga, okay. Sige, ha? So, I'll check with Red and then after that, okay, try to negotiate with Ma'am Silino on your behalf. Okay, it's 10:30 so we'll extend a bit because we need to finish, ha? Kasi we won't meet next week anymore. And then I'll meet you the week after that, okay, for the capstone project development. Okay? So, I have this link here in the chat box. Okay, can you access that one, please? And then answer the question. What cases are resolved or addressed in disputed meanings? I gave you a task last time that's related to disputed meanings. So, can you Okay, write down your answers here. So what did you focus reading on? So give me generic cases or specific cases that you've encountered while reading the text. Okay, I'm waiting for your answers, huh? Trademarks, yeah, trademark issues on the syntactic complexities. What else aside from these? Okay, trademark disputes, McDonald's case, some more that you can remember. Lexical meaning. Okay, 30 seconds. No more? Ambiguity, right? Ambiguity. Ambiguity of terms. Okay. Okay, so let's have this. Many crimes are generally performed by using language. So there's this solicitation or obtaining something from someone. Okay? There's conspiracy or plotting something unlawful. There's perjury. Okay? That's swearing a false oath. Or there's even threatening and bribery. For one thing, they involve different acts of speech, ranging from promises to orders. Okay, for another, most language crimes can be committed through indirect speech because you can't say, I hereby offer you a bribe, or I hereby engage you to kill my husband or to kill my wife. Okay, so many of the legal battles involve the extent to which courts may draw inferences of communicative intent from language that does not appear to be criminal. Okay, so these are some of the cases, okay, that involve to that are actually resolved by analyzing meanings. Okay, legislative acts, contracts, defamation cases, cases of copyright infringement, product warnings, and other language crimes. Okay, I want you to read this U.S. Criminal Code, please. So it's a law, okay, about the possession, use, or carrying of a firearm, and if it's a machine gun, okay, an imprisonment for 30 years. Okay, I want you to consider this scenario.
Ma'am,
Yes.
na-forgot po ata i-record.
Oh, thank you. Okay, Okay, do you think the law applies in this case? Okay, the law which I presented earlier. Okay, in in law, there's what we call as spirit of the law and letter of the law. Okay, the spirit of the law, of course, would pertain to mere reliance on the very letters presented, okay, in the law, like here. So what does it mean about uses? Uses. So the letter of the law carries, and there's also the spirit. Okay, the spirit of the laws. What's the essence of why indeed this particular law was made in the first place? Right? It's to avoid violence. It's to avoid a person from indiscriminately, hitting other people, killing other people. So it's for basically for peace. Okay, so um, what needs to be answered here is that what does it mean to use or to use a machine gun or to carry a machine gun? Is it using it, or is it in the firing of the machine gun? Okay, so based on this scenario, what do you think? Does the law apply in his case? Why or why not? Okay, you can unmute yourself to answer, or you can write down your answer. Oh, thank you, Christine. You think the law applies in this person's case? Yeah, the man. So there's a trade happening. Automatic weapon from the government, and he has the cocaine, right? Mm-mm. To trade his automatic weapon, he has the weapon to trade his weapon for some cocaine from the government agents. So he's in possession of an automatic weapon. Because so he was apprehended, so he has that machine gun. Okay, so let me go back to the law, ha? Whoever during and in relation to any crime uses or carries a firearm. Use. So the terms here, the meanings of use, carries. So does the law apply in this case?
Ma'am,
Yes.
if we adhere to the technicalities po or the letter of the law as you mentioned before, I think
Is this
that the
Agatha,
yes
right?
po, yes
Okay,
po.
okay. Mm-mm.
Um, again, if we adhere to the technicalities or the letter of the law as was mentioned before, I think that the man
Mm.
will have to face the indicated punishment here
Mm-mm.
since he was carrying the
Mm-mm.
firearm and it was actually used for the exchange or the trade to happen, which is the crime also
Mm-mm.
here.
Yeah.
So ayun po.
Right, right. So the letter of the law was used here, okay, to its greatest extent, okay, to its broadest meaning, the use or carry, just mere possession. So don't you think it's like too unfair for him to be sentenced for 30 years to just have this in his possession? Well, he's not involved in killing, but of course, okay, that's the letter of the law. So the judges, okay, the justices, actually, the justices voted in the letter of the law to, act on this particular, as they acted on this particular case. So they voted in the letter of the law, not in the spirit of the law, because we know that, okay, with the spirit of the law, okay, why does this law exist anyway? It's to prevent someone, to punish someone, to prevent someone from, okay, carrying or even, killing. It's used for killing, but here mere possession as based in the letter of the law. Okay, so for our session, okay, I'm telling you now, so we'll extend a bit because we need to cover these three: criminal context, product warnings, and trademark issues. So according to Stubbs, 1996, okay, he mentioned that what the meaning is the law used by a learned judge in the course of his directions to the jury is a matter for this court to determine and is not a matter for any linguistic expert. So that's actually discouraging to hear, considering that language and law are intertwined. Okay, so language consists of the law, and we need linguists, right? We need linguists because with the background of these lawyers, most of them, some of them, okay, have linguistic background, but they, there are varied meanings, layers of meaning at that. So that's why we're essential, okay, in FL. We're essential partners in helping deliver justice. But based on Stubbs' statement here, okay, it's a matter of the judge to decide, not any linguistic expert. Okay, when we talk of meaning, okay, of course, semantics talks about meaning, okay? Could be sentence meaning, could be word meaning, and there are types of meaning. So we have the conceptual and the associative meaning. So the conceptual would be the basic, essential components of meaning that are conveyed by the literal use of a word. So the precise or literal definition, just like what a needle is. Okay, it's a thin. What's its description? Okay, its composition. So how it looks like. So such essential components. While, okay, in analyzing meaning, we can also have these looking at the semantic features. So we have the terms here: table, horse, boy, man, girl, woman, and the features. Okay, semantic features. Set an animate, so the table here, the word table would not fall in any of these features. The boy would have these plus plus for animate and human, horse, animate, okay, man, and so on and so forth. So the woman can have all these features, semantic features. So that's according to Yule. Okay, when we talk of the associative or connotative meaning, okay, this refers to associations language users may have with regard to particular words. So this can also be positive, negative associations that most words naturally carry with them. Like dog, for example, that aside from, as an animal, okay, a bird, then a type of bird, then it also symbolizes peace. So that's its associative meaning. For needle could be pain, illness, or blood. So we have here using, okay, a corpus-based example. So the associative meaning of needle. So can you check whether it has more positive, more negative meaning? Needle at that, needle. Can you write down in the chat box your answer? Positive, negative, neutral. It was, and it was throbbing. So it's negative here. Pin the needle with extreme prejudice. Negative again. Excess fluid. So it's used for treatment. So positive. Okay. So varied, huh? Varied. Answers. No answers in the chat box. Okay. Okay, let's take a look at these three words here. What about cause? You think it's more positive or negative? Can you write down your answers, please? Positive or negative for cause? Cause. Hello? Can you hear me? Neutral. Neutral. Okay, neutral for cause. So Agatha, Faith have answers. Rojimir, negative. Marvin, negative. Positive for Yani. Okay, what about provide? Provide. Positive. Okay, Janina, J, positive. Yana, positive. Nicole, positive. Marika, positive. What about set in? Set in. Derek, positive also. Positive. Justin, Agatha, neutral. Okay. Janina, neutral. Rajimir, positive. Let's see, ha. Okay, before I give you the answers, there's this term, okay, called semantic prosody, and it describes the way in which certain seemingly neutral words, okay, can be perceived with positive or negative associations through frequent occurrences with particular collocation. Some of you will be into corpus linguistics, okay? That's what you will work on in your thesis. So in the recent years, linguists have used corpus linguistics and concordancing softwares, okay, to find hidden associations that lend seemingly non-neutral connotation to the usual or majority of perception of verbal expression. So there are a lot of softwares, okay, that are already available. So I took a course, okay, in what do you call this one? On corpus linguistics. It's a MOOC course, so it's actually 8 weeks. So yeah, I learned a lot. That's why I'm encouraging, okay, a lot of my mentees to work on corpus ling. So I would want to try that with them. So let's take a look at the word cause here. Okay, cause. Positive, negative, more of negative. Look at this one. The words associated with cause: problems, pregnancy, bitterness, disastrous damage, anxiety, bloodshed, great offense, sleepless nights, side effects, recession, problem, horrific injuries, abscesses, illness, defect, intestinal problems. Okay, what about provide? See, more positive. Positive and rewarding, specialist advice, a day off, care in a place to sleep in safety, substantial resources, impetus, discipline, enlightenment, good source of advice, good matches. There's just one negative, escalation option, but the rest are positive. Okay, what about set in? Here, more negative. Chaos. There's just one positive. Northern winter. But for us, okay, who are from the tropical countries, we love, having photos, okay, with snow as our background. But for them, okay, it's of winter, then it's gloomy. That's really a negative connotation. Panic, depression, tepidity, disease, anxiety, self-pity, rough weather. Okay, so set in has also a negative connotation. Now, in terms of interpretation of meaning, there are two terms that you need to remember here. One is context. Okay, or the words in the same phrase, sentence, or paragraph, while context refers to the physical or spatial environment in which the word is used. So with this two sentences here, so when we talk about context, it's the linguistic environment of a word or surrounding word. So just that one, just within the sentence. While if it's context, okay, context, it's the verbal environment, non-verbal environment, I mean, in which a word is used. Okay, it's the situation. So when you say here, I like playing with my locks, so you can imagine what locks is. So hair or whatever the context is, okay, when this expression was uttered. So with the question here, would you like to have a cup of coffee with me sometime? So would you take that literally? Like you'd be asked, would you be interested in ingesting a dark liquid containing caffeine in my company in a catering establishment at an unspecified time in the future? So that's very, literal way of, asking that question. Or I like you. Let's get to know each other better. So this is that the meaning of, the question. Okay, someone invited you, someone interested in you, or it's is it the other one? Okay. In disputed meanings, we also have the involvement of pragmatics, of course. So meaning, so pragmatics is meaning in context. So when you are asked this question, do you know where corporation is? And if you just answer yes, then okay, you're answering it the wrong way, because in pragmatics, okay, what's the context? You're supposed to be, okay, this, the speech act of this is to, for you to uh provide the answer. Okay, it's a form of a request, okay, to provide the directions. Okay, so if you don't give the you don't know the answer, it's no. But if you know the answer, you don't just, you go beyond the yes, okay, reply. Now, for you left the door open, so it's another form of a command or request, right? Because you left the door open. Oh, okay. So if we, when you don't do something, then you're interpreting it the wrong way, because it's a form of a request. You need to go back and then close the door. Okay. So I have here three cases. One by Leigh Van Bryan and Emily Bunting. So they're British, and when Twitter was basically new, so it was 2000 something. So what Leigh Bryan um tweeted, okay, these 3 weeks today, we're totally in LA, blah blah blah. So that's a curse word. People off on Hollywood Boulevard and digging Marilyn Monroe up. Okay, then there's another tweet. Free this week for a quick gossip prep before I go and destroy America. So you know what happened? They were actually detained because, okay, the Homeland Security captured, okay, filtered such, tweet, and they got it. Okay, they got the messages. So during secondary examination, Mr. Bryan was placed under oath, and his sworn statement was taken by CV Officer Waman. Mr. Bryan confirmed that he had posted on his Twitter website account that he was coming to the United States to dig up the grave of Marilyn Monroe. Also, on his Twitter account, Mr. Bryan posted that he was coming to destroy America. Diba? Lots of people fun, have this as jokes, but it was taken seriously by the Homeland Security. And you know what happened next? So they were actually detained, and they were deported without stepping, okay, in Hollywood at that point. So it's just because of these particular tweets. So we need to be very careful, what we post on our social media. Another uh, situation here, a landlord has 10 tenants in a house. He wants the house back long before the tenancy agreement expiration date. But the tenants are unwilling to move. So the landlord sends a Christmas card to the tenants. So this is his message in his Christmas message. I will smoke you out of the house in an unprecedented way. I declare that each tenant who has made the decision to stay in the house against my will is themselves fully responsible for their fate and the fate of their relatives. Each tenant will pay a price for their decision. No court or government will help them. In connection with the new year drawing near, I wish all the occupants that hell devour them. Is this a threat to harm or kill? What do you think? Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay. Case number 3. Unlawful killing, manslaughter by causation. I think I mentioned this before. So Ahmed Ben Meriak, okay, he was 16 years old. He fell to his death from the 7th floor of a tower block in London in August 2008. Okay. The lone witness heard a group of teenagers who were running after Ahmed say, "Come here, man." So what the authorities did was to ask the help of an expert, a forensic linguist, to examine the phrase, "Come here, man." So would, whether this phrase would be subjected to, okay, a reason, would be interpreted as carrying out a threat. Okay, so you know what the forensic linguist did? So he looked into different sources of data, which is in corpora, okay, the transcripts, and then he also checked the YouTube videos of rap, hip hop, grime, and then fora as well, and even the dictionary. So, you know what he searched? This from a rap. Yo, yo, come here, man. Come over here, Duke. Get your blah, blah, blah over here, man. So, usual, part of an expression. And from a forum, so you see here, then I start walking to head to the train. Yo, come here, man. So, second to the last line. I'm like, what? So, part of a forum, a rap forum. So, come here, man. So, based on the account or what was shared by the expert, um, and in which it also helped the teenagers clear their names. So, "Come here, man" is actually a regular expression, okay, made. Okay. Regular expression made, and that this phrase does not, okay, constitute carrying out a threat. Okay, wait, it's an important thing because sir, okay, I received a message about your OJT. If ito daw, pwede po ba sa office na party list congressman sa office ni Vice President Leni Robredo? So if you want daw dito daw kayo mag OJT, I'll just answer that. Okay. One. So that's what happened. So those are, famous cases, crimes, or not crimes, but cases related to disputed meanings. We now go to the next one. This one would be on defamation, libel, and slander. So these are the differences among the three. Defamation is issuing a false statement about another person, which causes that person to suffer harm. A libel is a defamatory statement in a printed or fixed medium, say a magazine or newspaper. So a statement. And then slander, usually spoken, is a defamatory statement made in a transitory representation. Okay, this is another case, defamation case. So Morrissey is a singer, a British singer, and he had an interview with the NME magazine back in December 2007, after which Morrissey sued the NME for defamation. So Morrissey claimed the magazine portrayed him as a racist. But before that, 15 years ago, the NME had accused him of experimenting with racist imagery. So this was the one published by the NME 15 years before 2007. flying with flag, or flirting with disaster. And in December 2007, this is the headline again, Big Mouth strikes again. Morrissey, the gates of England are flooded. The country's been thrown away. Oh dear, not again. Okay, so before I ask you to check on this case, these are the analysis points in examining whether defamation is valid, defamation case is valid. So of course the accuracy. Next, on grammatical referencing. So in terms of the grammatical referencing, this would be the internal references made within the text to other parts of the same text. So the use of pronouns, for example. So grammatical referencing within the text are what helps readers see connections between words, sentences, and paragraphs. So in the use of pronouns would be grammatical referencing. In pragmatics, presupposition. So with this statement, what's said? So that's presupposition. Speech acts, so you know about what language can do. Next, conveyed meaning. So given examples earlier, again, another example, do you have the time? So when you ask that question, so what's the conveyed meaning there? It's a form of request to tell me what time is it and not to answer yes or no. Okay. Next, intentionality. Okay. Checking in intentionality would be quite a tricky thing to do, right? Because we are involved in analyzing indirect speech. So we check the intentionality. And malicious, the use of malicious language, and even discourse structure and framing. So theme rime, or even what's highlighted. Okay, so marked or unmarked. So just like what we did last time. So these are, okay, some of them. Now in British law, the English law allows actions for libel to be brought in the High Court for any published statements alleged to defame a named or identifiable individual or individuals in a manner that causes them loss in their trade or profession, or causes a reasonable person to think worse of them. Allowable defenses are justification, the truth of the statement, fair comment, whether the statement was a view that a reasonable person could be held, and privilege, whether the statements were made in Parliament or whether they were fair reports or allegations in the public interest. So, to collect contemporary compensatory damages, a public official or public figure must prove that there's an actual malice. So whether there's a known falsity or reckless disregard for the truth. And for a private individual, he must only prove negligence or not using due care to collect compensatory damages. So to collect punitive damages, all individuals must prove actual damage. So these are actually terms. So compensatory damages would be those like finances. You just need to pay back, okay, the the person, while for punitive damages, so that would be more serious damages. So I want you to check the case of Morrissey, okay, the transcript. It's found in your BB. Go to your Learning Hub 15-16, weeks 15-16, and check your transcript there, please. Is Dejai around? Dejai? You're just 27. You're just 26 here. You're supposed to be 30 something. Dejai, are you around? Absent?
She's there, ma'am, sa
She's there.
participants.
Okay. Ay, wala ba? Hindi ko ba talaga yun? I'm so... oh no. Okay, so walang nakalagay. I had that for the other course, but here, let me just briefly. Sorry for that. I thought I was able to do it for your section, so let's just click anyways. Oh, wala nga. Mhm. Okay. Let me just quickly 15, 16. Mhm. Okay. Where is this? Interview transcript. Um, I'm almost there, sorry. Hub. Okay. Okay, kindly check again. It's already here. NME versus Morris. Thank you. Okay, I'll place you in breakout rooms, ha? So you'll work with the partner and answer whether Morrissey is indeed a racist and that NME, okay, was right in portraying NME as a racist. Okay, so I want you to resolve that issue.
Morrissey as this certain type of person. So it seems that um they intentionally ayun nga po, they intentionally portrayed Morrissey as this problematic, although it is indisputable that Morrissey did release some controversial statements,
Mm-mm.
like when he said that he doesn't believe that racism exists,
Mm-mm.
etc. So of course those are problematic and
Mm-mm.
should be called out. But
Mm-mm.
judging by how the interview went,
Right, right.
there seems to be a certain intent for the interviewer or for the side of NME to really
Mm-mm.
paint
Yeah,
Morrissey
yeah, yeah.
as this certain type of person. So
Person.
there po.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, and you know what happened? So this is the judgment. They have not only misquoted Morrissey, they have omitted critical parts of the interview and distorted the tone of the piece, his responses, and the questions he was asked in order to try and present an inflammatory case. And there's even an NME apology. Okay, so just to stress, we wish to make clear that we don't believe that he's a racist. We didn't think we were saying he was, and we apologize to Marcy if he or anyone else misunderstood our piece, okay, in that way. Okay, so that's on defamation. Okay, let's have the last one. It's on disputed meaning, okay, in product warning. So, this is webinar, okay, presented by Dr. Dacumos. Her dissertation is on product warnings. Okay, but when we talk of product warnings, we look at the in inadequacy of the information presented on the labels. Okay, because such consequences of inadequacy in the information can be extremely serious and can even cause death or serious injury. And in other jurisdictions, just like what you read when with the assigned information text that I presented to you, there were legal cases, okay, brought on the basis of inadequate warnings, but not here yet in the Philippines. And many problems are due to the wording, and they're actually linguistically based. So, comment here from Leto and Miller. Comprehension is a significant problem with product warnings. And there's even study, okay, that found that many warnings on labels of over-the-counter drugs require 11th or 12th grade skill readings, and in some cases, even college education. Other experts have observed that words such as accidental, contact, consult, and persist, all common in warnings, cause comprehension difficulties. Okay, and even by Tiersma, 2002, studies on literacy confirm that a large number of people do not have the reading skills needed to understand warnings and directions on the products that they use every day. We also have problems, okay, based on our regulations by FDA. Okay, and so there's a need to really, work on product warnings. So on comprehensibility, so say this, for external use only from on a bottle of isopropyl rubbing alcohol will produce serious gastric disturbances. If you're not in the medical field, so what do you mean about gastric disturbances, right? So a problem on comprehensibility. What about this one? Is it this inadequate? A Surgeon General's warning. Cigarette smoke contains carbon dioxide. So if you're not good enough in inferencing, then you wouldn't get this one. Okay? You'll find that content inadequate because you would need to still infer. Like carbon monoxide is bad for you. You therefore shouldn't breathe it in. Cigarette smoke contains carbon monoxide. That's why cigarette smoking is bad for you. Okay? And with regard to warnings and even cautions, so there are layers here, like danger. So if it's extreme, it causes death. So according to the severity of the consequences. So warning orange, just like during typhoons. So when we have those red, orange, yellow alerts. So part of what Dr. Dacumos recommended was for the revision of the product warnings and the inclusion of these particular notes, or like use of color coded things here, like danger, warning, caution, and notice. Okay, let's have the last one on trademark. Okay, So a trademark is a symbol, phrase, or name used by a mark of a product or provider of a service to distinguish the product or service from others of its kind. It's a name or symbol or phrase associated with the brand of a kind of thing rather than with the kind of thing in itself. So trademark or just a mark like copyrights are proprietary language. So they're bits of linguistic and semiotic material that people, corporations, or even institutions in a very real but limited sense own. Okay? So these could be words or phrases, could be brand names like Apple. Okay? Could be symbols, logos, okay, or yeah, symbols, logos like the Apple, okay, profile, okay, with an apple with a bite taken out of it, okay. And trademark and copyright are actually two distinct concepts. So when we say trademark, so there are trademark laws, and they have a narrow focus. They grant control over the linguistic and semiotic entities by means of which provider of goods and services identify what they market to the public. In terms of copyright laws, they protect broader linguistic and semiotic entities that are in themselves products, granting rights to individuals to control the results of their creative enterprises. So we have copyright issues, okay, that arise for forensic linguists, okay, who are into pursuing questions of plagiarism, author identification, and forensic stylistics. And when we talk of trademark, so there's there are these terms, genericity and genericide. So a term is generic if the relevant community of native speakers thinks of the term as denoting the product of or service itself. So like aspirin, okay, and not the brand of a type of product like Bayer. Okay, so when we say genericide or generification, it refers to when a trademark has come into its generic use and is no longer identifiable with a particular product. So for this reason, many companies spend millions actively protecting their trademark, such as by encouraging the use of alternative generic terms. Nintendo, okay, I'm sure you still know this, Nintendo has been known to promote the term games console instead of using, the term Nintendo because that's their trademark. Companies also employ lawyers to regularly send letters to warn about infringement when people or companies use their trademark. So these were the terms before, okay? Escalator, zipper, aspirin, but they've become generified already. So these are genericide. So they used to have they used to be connected to their trademark names or brands, but they've been genericided, okay, or generified. What about these also, right? Diba? Kleenex, we associate that with tissue. Xerox, okay, can you Xerox this? So already a genericide. Jeep, yeah, Colgate. So we have Frisbee, Jeep, ano pa? There are a lot actually. So Colgate nga na Colgate na Pepsodent pala. Okay. What else? Mga Lucky Me. Oh, Lucky Me. So we're so fond of that, right? Yeah, Nicole. So, this Coke also, yeah, Coke na Sprite or Coke na Pepsi. Okay. Trademarks. So, about Google. So, this was published 2006, but wow, Google has already been generified. Diba? There's GMP, Google Mute, or search. Yeah. So there's a risk that the word Google could become so commonly used that it becomes synonymous with the word search. It's happening now. If this happens, we would lose protection for this trademark, which could result in other people using the word Google to refer to their own products, thus diminishing our brand. So the companies are into protecting their image, protecting their trademarks. Kasi they would want na dito talaga, okay, you would appreciate, you would buy their products, okay? Go for their services. But if something has been, generified, then you'd lose that protection and you'd lose money already. Now, in analyzing, okay, trademark issues, these are the legal issues relevant to linguistics. So we ask the question, are the marks generic? So again, when you say generic marks, the words don't function already as trademark, okay, as they fully describe a product by identifying it. So they're nouns pertaining to common language, so they can't be registered. So clock, for example, clock is a generic, okay, a generic thing, generic. What about descriptive? Are the marks descriptive? So the descriptive marks usually identify one or more characteristics of a product or service covered by the mark and only serves to describe the product. So, example, um, weak example would be cold and creamy. Okay, cold and creamy is a name for ice cream, diba? It's could be a potential mark for ice cream, but since it describes one of the characteristics of the product, cold and could be creamy, it isn't likely to qualify as a trademark. Okay? Another example, 104 key. It describes how many keys are on a keyboard. Therefore, this could be considered descriptive. Okay? So, generic and descriptive marks are difficult to protect for trademarks, while suggestive, fanciful, and arbitrary marks are always unique upon creation and don't lead to any confusion. So, when we say suggestive trademark, okay, it's a distinctive mark which does not describe a product but suggests, okay, requiring customers to use imagination to connect the two. So while it doesn't express, lay, or state the nature of the goods or services, it's still associated with the said goods through a relationship. So a good example for a suggestive mark would be Microsoft, because Microsoft would suggest a microcomputer software. And there's even fanciful marks, okay? And these are random marks. Therefore, most courts will grant them protection. Okay? They usually consist of a random assortment of letters to create a word. The word does not mean anything until it's related to the company's product or service. So given that this word is new, the company needs to advertise the product to help them recall, to help them understand the link between the new word and the company's product or service. So a fanciful trademark can be Kodak. Can you think of some fanciful trademarks? Okay, you can write down. And there's arbitrary mark, arbitrary mark. So these are words of common knowledge in English that are used to describe a product that doesn't have any connection to the common definition. So due to the distant relationship between the product and its name, the company needs to educate the public on the association of the word. So these marks are capable of holding up fairly well in court. So, Goop, what is, okay, yeah, Kodak, fanciful. Okay, an example for arbitrary marks would be Apple, okay, Apple computer. So it's a common knowledge, we know Apple, okay, it's a fruit, but it's so arbitrary. It does not have any relationship with okay, the word itself, the apple, what we know of, and the brand, which is a computer brand. Okay, Starbucks. Yeah, Starbucks. So what do you think about this Starbucks, Nicole? Suggestive, fanciful, arbitrary.
Arbitrary po.
Yeah, arbitrary. Yes, arbitrary. Starbucks. So fanciful, arbitrary marks seldom get challenged. So the way to prove that a name is suggestive gets very complicated as well. Okay, most trademark battles are about whether a mark is either descriptive or suggestive, but sometimes even a generic word will spark a conflict. So these are some of the linguistic questions as well involving trademarks. So do the competing trademarks sound the same? So if there are two brands and the one is a new one in the market, and there's one that's established trademark already, so they do mean the same? Do they look the same? Do they mean the same thing? Based on the language alone, is the average consumer likely to be confused about whether the competing products were the same thing or were produced by the same manufacturer? Has the junior user of the mark diluted its meaning in ways that will cause the senior user to suffer harm? Okay. Can linguistics help resolve the question, or not an existing trade name has been diluted by a junior use? So, when we talk about sounding the same, we analyze, okay, the differences from the sound up to the probably word level, right? So, presence of the vowels, consonants. So, how distinct are these? Okay, and how close are they with one another? So, talking about the sounds. What about the meaning? The linguistic study of meaning is a serious and a very scientific endeavor. So if meaning refers to anything, it signifies that words and expressions mean something as they're used in a certain way or in a particular context. What about the dilute of a trademark's name? So it's actually the lessening of the capacity of a famous mark to identify and distinguish goods or services regardless of the presence or absence of such competition or likelihood of confusion. Okay. So, okay, this would be my last slide. These are some of the legal cases, okay, trademark disputes. In the Philippines, we have this. Number 7, Apple Incorporated versus My iPhone. My iPhone, yeah. And then there's a trademark dispute, Starbucks versus Cafe de Manila Corp, because of the frap, because frap is registered, okay, has a trademark, okay, the frap. And also Jollibee versus Jollyville, okay, company. And I remember for number 9, Jollyville won. Okay, Jollyville won. Then McDonald's versus Big Mac. Okay, Big Mac. Okay, so this ends my presentation. Sorry for, 20 minutes. So again, if you think that you need another task, okay, that will help you with your score, so just let me know. So I'll give you the details about your performance either today or tomorrow. Okay, so thank you for staying, everyone. Have a great week ahead. And I'll see you this afternoon at 4 o'clock for the orientation. Okay, bye-bye. See
Hi,
you.
ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Ma'am,
Yes.
um,
Yes. Yani?
yes, ma'am.